All right, we're back. Tonight, we're going to get right back into looking at some recent tech stories. But first, life has been pretty crazy for me over the past month or so. I'm not going to lie. I started a new job at the beginning of April, and it's been nonstop busy as I've taken on a lot of new responsibilities in this new role. I've also been, trying to start getting back into hiking shape over the past couple of weeks or so as summer is right around the corner. I had a chance to hike the Ramona Falls Trail near Government Camp in the Mount Hood National Forest a couple of weeks ago. Very popular trail in the area and one of my favorites. Normally the hike is, supposed to be about 7.5, maybe 8 miles long round trip. But when I was there, they still had the gate closed. The gate to the road that gets you to the trailhead. So that added about another 5 miles or so to the trip. Located just about an hour outside of Portland, this is one of the most striking destinations in the Mount Hood wilderness. You start out at the trailhead going on a section of the Sandy River Trail and eventually get to a river crossing. And after the river crossing, you'll get to a point where you can choose to continue on the Ramona Falls Trail or actually hike a section of the Pacific Crest Trail. And the falls themselves, once you get there, are breathtaking to say the least. I think this was my 4th time hiking the trail in the last couple of years. Definitely one of my favorites and one that I would highly recommend to anyone visiting the area for the first time. But enough of that, let's get into it. Good evening. You are listening to another episode of Black Man Into the Wild. I'm blessed to be here with you all tonight, and as always, I'm blessed to have you here with me as well. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Intel. They've got some pretty cool stuff going on. Now, I would imagine that everybody knows the company Intel. They played a major role in the rise of Silicon Valley in the 1970s and 80s. And some may argue that the tech execs of Silicon Valley today play a major role in controlling the world. Okay, this isn't, some basement or garage style startup looking for rounds of seed funding. Founded in July of 1968 by semiconductor pioneers Robert Noyce and Gordon Moore, Intel is the world's largest semiconductor chip manufacturer by revenue. They've recently revealed a new product targeted towards environmentally conscious Bitcoin miners. Also, they're getting ready to break ground in a small town outside of Columbus, Ohio, my home state, on the largest semiconductor fabrication site in the world. But before we get into those stories, as always, if you have not already, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like the video, and share with your friends if you like what you hear. Now, I have to give a shout out again to Langston for coming on the podcast and having a conversation with me a couple of months ago. If maybe you're just finding out about this podcast and haven't found that episode yet, Langston works in chip validation at Intel's campus here right outside of Portland. When he was here, we had a great conversation on emerging technologies and trends in commercial real estate. In fact, we talked about Bitcoin mining and ESG. However, we didn't necessarily talk about whether or not Intel themselves had any direct plans to step into the game. But here we have this story from CoinDesk. Intel doubles down on ESG with launch of second-gen Bitcoin mining chips. It goes on to say Intel has launched its second-generation Bitcoin mining chip called the Intel Blockscale Asic, which will offer cryptocurrency miners more efficient mining rigs than most models available today in the market. The move could help mining firms get on the winning side of the environmental, social, and governance (ESG) debate that has long roiled the Bitcoin community. Quote, the Intel Blockscale Asic is going to play a major role in helping Bitcoin mining companies achieve both sustainability and hash rate scaling objectives in the years ahead, said Jose Rios, general manager of Intel's blockchain group. Quote, Intel's decades of R&D cryptography, hashing techniques, and ultra-low voltage circuits make it possible for blockchain applications to scale their computing power without compromising on sustainability. In February, Intel revealed the details of the first generation of its mining chip at the International Solid Semiconductor Conference. It was reported to be an ultra-low voltage energy-efficient Bitcoin ASIC mining system proposed to reduce overall power consumption consumption by approximately 15%. Now, ESG, particularly the E or environmental part of crypto mining, has become one of the main topics of debate in recent times, as miners are rapidly increasing their mining power to stay competitive, which has put their need for energy under the scrutiny of policymakers around the world. In fact, in March, just a couple of months ago, the Environmental Conservation Committee of the New York State Assembly voted to move along a proposed law that would ban proof-of-work cryptocurrency mining in the state for 2 years. Some federal lawmakers, like Senator Elizabeth Warren, have scrutinized crypto mining companies for their impact on the climate. Now, here another influential voice, Warren Buffett, is back bashing Bitcoin, claims it doesn't produce anything. Speaking at the Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholder meeting on Saturday, Buffett commented on crypto in relation to the growing mainstream adoption of the sector. He noted that while he has no idea if the value of Bitcoin will increase moving forward, he assured that it, quote, doesn't produce anything. Oh, really, Mr. Buffett? The 91-year-old with a net worth of around $124 billion is an avid crypto skeptic. His arguments often stem around digital assets offering no tangible value, and the community has been quick to highlight on this occasion that there is a myriad of use cases and utility in crypto that Buffett likely hasn't researched. Now, it appears that he's also historically opposed climate and diversity proposals as well. From the New York Times, executives across corporate America, from Silicon Valley to Wall Street, have begun to heed calls from investors to disclose more about their company's actions on climate change and workforce diversity. Warren E. Buffett isn't among them. Environmental, social, and governance principles, known as ESG, are increasingly prominent in the business world. BlackRock, the $8 trillion investment giant, has urged companies in which it owns stake to do more on climate and, quote, sensitive social and political issues. Berkshire Hathaway, the $715 billion conglomerate he runs, has historically opposed to asking that its board publish annual reports on how it's tackling environmental and diversity issues. All right, the other Intel-related story that I want to talk about, a couple here. Let's see. Intel opens $3 billion factory expansion in Oregon. And we can get into this one really quick and then talk about some of their even bigger news. It says Intel has opened a $3 billion factory expansion at its Ronler Acres campus in Hillsboro, Oregon, and it's renaming the campus in honor of Intel's co-founder Gordon Moore. The expansion of the D1X factory will enable Intel to expand its manufacturing with an additional 270,000 square feet of manufacturing space, which will help the company stay on the cutting edge of manufacturing technology. Gordon Moore Park is the headquarters of Intel's Global Technology Development Organization, which is responsible for advancing Moore's Law by creating new transistor architectures, wafer processes, and packaging technologies that underpin the company's product roadmap and provide the foundation for applications ranging from personal computers to cloud infrastructure to 5G networks. And now for their announcement that will likely have the greatest implications. Intel's $20 billion Ohio factory could become the world's largest chip plant. Now, I think this story broke back in January from Reuters. I have here, Intel said it would invest up to $100 billion to build potentially the world's largest chip-making complex in Ohio, looking to boost capacity as a global shortage of semiconductors is affecting everything from smartphone to car manufacturing. The move is part of Chief Executive Officer Pat Gelsinger's strategy to restore Intel's dominance in chip-making and reduce America's reliance on Asian manufacturing hubs, which have a tight hold on the market. An initial $20 billion investment, the largest in Ohio's history, on a 1,000-acre site in New Albany, will create 3,000 jobs. That investment could grow to $100 billion with 8 total fabrication plants and would be the largest investment on record in Ohio. Dubbed the Silicon Heartland, it could become the largest semiconductor manufacturing location on the planet. OH.